Today we are jumping into a text that is basically a master plan for survival. Numbers chapter 3 is an incredible blueprint that tackles a massive life or death question. How exactly do you live right next to an overwhelming divine power without getting killed? This whole thing kicks off not with a rule, but with a total catastrophe. Two priests, Aaron's own sons, make a fatal mistake during a ritual by using the wrong kind of fire. The consequence is immediate and final death. This wasn't just a family tragedy. It was a terrifying warning shot to the entire community that holiness is dangerous. Close proximity to immense power always carries immense risk. When a team manages critical assets, the margin for operational error drops to zero. If getting too close gets you killed, how do they live safely with this presence in the middle of camp? They needed a sacred blueprint. The solution is a massive substitution. Originally, all Israelite firstborn sons were consecrated for God's service. The new plan commands that one whole tribe, the Levites, will stand in for all the firstborns, taking on those holy responsibilities. Consolidating a universal burden into a highly specialized sub-team allows the rest of the organization to function freely. This new setup required meticulous physical organization. The tabernacle sat at the heart of the camp, wrapped immediately by the Levites placed strategically by their clans. They formed a protective ring, acting as a human buffer zone between the super holy sanctuary and the rest of the tribes. High-stakes projects require physical and structural insulation. You must intentionally build a trusted team of buffer personnel who shield the fragile core from chaotic, accidental interference. To make this complex system work, a divine headcount ordered every male Levite to be counted and assigned a very specific job. The 7,500 Gershonites camped on the west side. Their job was to manage the tabernacle's skin. All the fabrics, tents, coverings, and fancy curtains. Complex systems require explicit division of labor based on material function. Assigning a dedicated team solely to the exterior, visible interface ensures the protective boundaries remain intact. Camping to the south, you had the 8,600 Kohathites. They had the high-stakes job of moving and caring for the most sacred objects inside the tabernacle, the Ark of the Covenant, the table, and the altars. The most sensitive, high-value assets demand the most specific operational oversight. You cannot treat the core engine of an organization with the same casual protocol you use for its external framework. Rounding out the inner circle to the north were the 6,200 Merarites. They were basically the construction crew handling the tabernacle's solid framework. They were in charge of all the posts, bases, and bars, the entire skeleton of the portable sanctuary. The structural integrity of a system is easily overlooked but absolutely vital. Without a dedicated crew focused entirely on the foundational skeleton, the entire operation will collapse during transition. When you add the Levites up, you get a grand total of 22,000 males ready for sacred service. But there was a logistical snag. A second census counted all the firstborn sons from the other 12 tribes, and that total came out to 22,273. The problem is clear. There are exactly 273 more firstborns needing a substitute than there are Levites. In any massive organizational shift, the transition is rarely perfectly clean, and leadership must address the messy mathematical gaps. What do you do with the 273 extras who are still technically consecrated to God? The solution was elegant. They had to be redeemed. Their families paid a fee of 5 silver shekels a head. That redemption money was collected and given to the priests, balancing the sacred books and releasing those sons from duty. Unresolved systemic deficits must be paid off. When operational resources fall short, a tangible cost must be paid to formally balance the ledger. This chapter is an incredibly detailed blueprint for a community trying to live safely next to something overwhelmingly holy. It is all about creating order, setting up a protective buffer, and making sure every single person is accounted for. This leaves us with two important questions to think about today. How do our own modern societies and organizations build buffer zones to manage the things we consider too powerful or dangerous to approach casually? And when shifting the responsibilities of your own team, how do you fairly account for the messy mathematical gaps left over in the transition? Take a moment, breath, and let them sink in.